Great. So, hello everyone. My name is Daniel. I work here at Powtoon. You probably know me. I'm responsible for marketing here, and a lot of you have already received some of my emails, etc. So that's me, and that's my funky picture as the Powtoon scientist. And yeah, today what we're going to do is we're going to sort of go over some of the ways you can create a Powtoon that's really trying to sell your brand and sell you, and maybe get a little bit more into actual branding. But that's the goal, is to how to make Powtoons that really try and promote your business and promote you. And first part will be more just like a demo, running through things. Feel free to throw in comments as we go along. There's a text field. If you haven't opened the text box yet, please do. We've got Tomer here, our product manager, fairly new, dying to meet you and get to know you and learn from your experiences. He's the guy to go to if you want anything get improved in Powtoon, any bugs you've noticed, anything you want, any features. Yeah, ask him for his email address and just get in touch. He also wants to do some private sessions with people. So awesome opportunity to really just get to know somebody inside Powtoon and get that relationship. We also have involved Jordana, our community manager. So if you want to get involved in any of our numerous community activities, that's a person to talk to as well. She's also live on Twitter right now, as she always is, of course. Um, so yeah, as we go along, you'll just one comment. We noticed that in the past a bunch of people have had issues joining these webinars in audio, and so just be patient as they do, and we might have to repeat a couple of stuff. But let's get it going. So really, when a lot of people, when they first log into Powtoon, what they do is they like to just kind of toss stuff on the screen, start playing around with them and create the visuals first. And that's a great way to do it. Just kind of play around with it. But really, I'm going to show you a way to really cut your production time down and really get focused on the messaging. And what we're going to do is actually start by a little bit of paperwork before we get into Powtoon. And what we want to do is create a simple story. We're going to do that together in a short while. And here's a little bit of theory. So we want to put together these three sections or parts of the story. It's a business story, it's a sales story, it's your brand in the middle, right? So what we want to do is address a problem in the market, what the solution is. Ideally, that's yours, not someone else's, of course, and what the result is, how your solution will improve their life. And when we just tell that elevator speech, people kind of listen. When we put it in an animated format, it grabs their attention and they watch it. So here's one format of doing it. One recommended layout. There are others you can choose from. And what we have learned is that in most of these videos, people are going to decide whether or not to watch them within the first 5 to 8 seconds. So you've got 5 or 8 seconds to just grab their attention. So people are kind of browsing, they're watching through they're zooming through your website, or they're zooming through YouTube or wherever. They're encountering your video, and all they care about in the first few seconds is this interesting to me? So that first section we call the attention grabber, and that's about 5 to 8 seconds long. And that could be something just kooky, funky, but what we really want to do is make sure we tell that person that's watching it, this is interesting for you, you being a marketer in this case, or a small business owner, right? Whatever that may be, a plumber, and why this is interesting for them to watch. Next section will be the problem we're addressing. The problem could be the fact that their material costs are too high, that they're not happy with their hair loss, whatever the problem that your solution solves, we go right into that. And we always want to point out the impact of the problem. Why? That's just basic psychology. So we really kind of drill in there and say, oh, your hair loss is annoying you? Yeah, it annoys me, but how does that affect your dating situation? So we're really that's what we call in sales the pain factor. We're kind of drilling into the pain. And that's when you want to get into your solution and the same, and equally the impact of your solution. So you're taking them down the roller coaster and up again, right into the call to action, which is what they need to do in order to get that solution. Now, some people play around with this and do different stuff. I wouldn't recommend going too creative in the first try or two, but I've seen amazing stuff done very differently. And of course, as more and more videos are popping up on different websites, and it's becoming very standard nowadays to have a video on your website or to give presentations kind of this way, it gets harder and harder to stand out of the crowd, if you will. So you want to master this sort of layout, but the layout is pretty easy. So what you do is you take your benefits, take your technical what it is what solutions you provide, lay them out in this fashion, and now all we have to do is create a script. So the script essentially will write something down and make a table, right beside it what visuals we want to put together, and then what emotion that wants to give. So here's an example, and we'll get into start working on it in just a minute, because I know you want to get the hands-on part really fast. So we get the first part here is the attention grabber, right? And I wrote a quick script, so I might say something like, "Hey, Powtoonists, they want to know what's who's this for? Is this for a Powtoonist? Is this for a copywriter? Who's this video designed for?" In this case, the video is for Powtoonists. So I'm gonna simply say something cute like, "Hey, Powtoonists, I'm addressing you. Do you want to learn how to get more leads?" And in the visuals, I'm going to just write something very quick, something very basic. What kind of visual might go with that? And I just build my table this way. It takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you're good at it, maybe double that if you're a first timer. And I just kind of write it in very conversational mode, very simple. It does not have to be long. In fact, all of this is a perfect explainer. Look how many sentences I've got in here, about 15 sentences. So really not that much. Less is more in these cases. So let's start making our video. The first two sentences. "Hey, Powtoonists, want to learn how to get more leads? Hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm a Powtoon scientist. I bet you have a really nice website. It may have even cost you a lot of money, but somehow people don't quite get into what separates you from your competition. You know what's my pain is there's no spell check in Google Docs, just as a side note. But so the first section will be just popping right into the Powtoon editor, adding a slide right there, and doing something that really calls for action. Now we're talking about promoting your brand, something that's really grabbing attention. We're talking about promoting your brand. So start by looking at what colors your website has, what kind of fonts you use, what kind of characters will fit in, and then pick right here in the style chooser essentially what's going to make sense. Also, some of these styles are far more abstract, like the marker style right here. Great style, got great animations. It is a little more abstract. The Creanimate style, who we got Kield in the background here, who's also one of the creators of the style, is fantastic for business. We've got some amazing business characters in here. And in fact, actually in a week or two, we're going to be expanding the style quite a bit, including some other styles. But what you do is you pick the style and then you start working. So the text was, "Hey, Powtoonist." I'm just going to put that, put in the text, just write the text in there. And I might want to look at the fonts on the website and say, you know what, red will work well. Make it nice and big so it catches the attention. And then pick the font that looks great. Okay. Now, one of the things you really want to do in an animated video is be very dramatic. We want to go really extravagant and push those emotions, because that's what's going to catch attention. That's what people expect from an animated video. So we're going to put in like a big exclamation mark right there. Go to 180. Do something kooky like that. And at this point, it doesn't really matter how, it looks perfect. I'm just laying it out. Now, before I go any further, this is where I'm going to stop and rethink. Okay, I've got my style picked out. I've got my screenplay laid out. I've got everything ready to go. I personally don't like my own voice. I don't think it's good enough to put on YouTube. And in fact, I'm almost embarrassed here on the webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, and before I start creating the rest of the Powtoon, I'm going to record a scratch track. So I click right there, and I know you can't see this pop-up because it's right on. Oh, actually, you do see the pop-up. Fantastic. So what I can do is I can record right here a voiceover. I can add music to it later, etc. But I'm just going to read off my my script right into the voiceover before I make my Powtoon. And the reason for that is simple. It's a scratch track. I'm just going to lay out the right pace, the right voice. I just need to be pretty happy with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that way, while I'm going to make all of these animations in here and lay everything out, it's going to save me a tremendous amount of time, so I don't have to resequence everything once the professional voiceover comes in. If you do like your own voice and you think it's great, and I've seen plenty of people who do that, lucky them, then just record your voice and you're good. You're good to go. I know some people go right through the Powtoon recorder, and some people will use something like Audacity, fine tune it and then import it into Powtoon and go with that. So right here on the bottom is the timeline. Then this is where we define the sequence of events. So I might say 1 second, hey Powtoonist, and then the second 2, I'm going to have the exclamation point come in. And right there, that little button is what defines the little animation. A pop is great when I'm thinking of, like grabbing attention. I really want the things to pop up. And if I go back to the beginning and click play, hey Powtoonist. Like, now, see what I did there? I grabbed your attention, and I bought myself a few seconds for you to watch this video. The next part is my name is Daniel, and I'm a Powtoon scientist. I'm basically telling you, why, again, who I am, and sort of why you should watch this video, etc. So I'm just going to add here another slide. And I can do, there are different ways I can do it, but in this case, I want to add a photo of myself. So I pick an image holder. Let me just repeat that. The image holders here, any of these, will allow me to insert a photo right in there. And I pick this photo of mine, and I hit apply. Okay. Now, what that did was it put the photo right in the middle, but that's not right. So I'm going to click crop and move it and resize it so it fits right nicely in there. And if I want to be even cuter, I can add a little thought bubble or speech bubble right in there. It comes right out of the screen. It'll be cute, and just write something like hi, something like that. And oops, this is where I don't want this. I want to change the text, right? That looks awful. And do something like that. So not the greatest graphic skills right this minute, but you get the point. Now, one of the things you want to do in an animated video like this is always show the viewer, kind of guide them through what are they watching, what kind of emotions. And if you watch TV or reality shows or any of these sort of on-stage shows, you'll see that oftentimes the camera will show what's happening in the audience and the faces of people in the audience. And that's because we get those cues and we say, oh, that's funny. We think it's funny. We look at the cues and say, oh, look how people are worried. They think the acrobat might fall off the tightrope. And we feel the same way. So we're going to enhance those that viewer emotion by simply adding a character on the side that's going to do what we want the user to or the viewer to feel, essentially. So if I put this character right there, and he's going to say "ta-ta," right? Now this automatically pushes that emotion. People respond to that. So we want to think of emotions in any kind of slide here, any kind of scene, and put that component in there. Okay. In fact, we might want to have one character that all their job is really to just kind of point out and guide the viewer through what are they supposed to feel at this point. Because not everybody gets everything you're talking about. Some people, they say, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't quite get, I don't know too much about all the technical stuff they're talking about there. Should I be worried about that? Well, I see everybody in the audience I see this little character on the side is worried. Yeah, I guess I should be. That's sort of how human beings work. Next section is, I bet you have a really nice website. It may have cost you a lot of money. I'm going to add another slide in here. Now, notice that you can change the length of the slides. You can just keep going in the same slide. It's easier to manage the amount of data you have by simply adding slides every now and then. And you can move them around. So that way, if you have to change the sequence a little bit, all that, you don't have to do too much editing. It also allows you to do transitions. So we've got transitions right here. And if you hit a slide and pick a transition, it'll transition between one slide and the next, something you can't do in the middle of a slide. See, this is a previous version I had. I'm going to delete that. I bet it costs you a lot of money. And what we can do is what I wrote down that the visual is going to be is hand paying money. And we've got a whole hand style here, which another style that's going to be expanded in the next couple of weeks. And this one's really good. I know we had a lot of requests for hands in different colors and different genders, and those are coming. Yeah. What we can do is we can take this hand like this. See, its second one, it comes in actually from left to right, which is pretty neat. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. If you're somewhat of a newer user, it's going to be really cool. I'm going to choose at second, say 3. I'm going to choose entry effect will be from, actually I want it from right to left because the palm of the hand is on the left right there. And then the exit effect, I'm going to choose none. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick another hand. And I'm going to try to align them as well as possible right here. Now, they're not exactly the same hand, but they can do a pretty decent job at it, just enough so the viewer doesn't quite notice. Okay. And what happens is I'm going to make sure that at second 3, the first hand gets swapped with the second hand. And you see both of them have no effect selected. So it just gets swapped right there. See the little triangle line here? That's the duration of the effect. So we don't want any effect here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit right play like that. And it opened up, and then we can just add a bundle of money, and we're good to go. So you see, once you get the story written down, it actually gets pretty easy to create the graphics, and you can put some more attention into the stylizing, making sure that it really matches your brand, etc. And we could just keep going on for more and more like this. But I think this kind of sums up the basic of how you put it together, how you put the Powtoon together. I see there are a lot of comments going on, a lot of discussions, and I do want to give you some attention. So I'm just gonna ask Jordana here to see if she can point out any questions that came up or anything during the talk.
Yeah, there was a question about if you can have moving objects.
Okay.
Thing, and also if it's just by the half second, or if you can set the time by like milliseconds.
Okay, great. So 2 questions. So one was about the timing and how do you control timing, etc. So you can go half second. You can't go less than a half second, but what you can do is a little. You can create an illusion that there's more than going on, because if I essentially copy paste, say, a bunch of different items on the screen, and each one of them I start at a different point, and they each have a half-second interval to them. Essentially, I can create this buzzing action, and it's actually quite a bit. So I know that the reason why you want more than half a second is typically to match your soundtrack, and that doesn't, that's something that we just don't support to get, at a higher resolution than that. Typically, it works out great, and you can, you can punch stuff around, but I know sometimes it just, it is what it is. As for moving stuff around the screen, we don't support moving from A to B point. I know that's a very popular request, so I am sure we're going to get to it at some point. And actually, Tomer is online here. I wonder if he'll comment on that, if that is something that we are planning or not. And he's saying it is in the pipeline. Great. So we do have, if you go to, by the way, to support.powtoon.com, you can vote on different features that you want. So that would be, if you want stuff like that, you can always vote on them. But also just mentioning them here to us is great too. There are different things you can do. So if you want to move an object, or say a character, from one point to another, there are tricks around it. So here's something you can. Let me just get this running character here. So look at that. He's running on the hand. Isn't that cute? So if say we want him to move from here to here without exiting the screen, here's a way around it. So what I would do is I would pick, essentially I'd pick a white image. I don't have one, just a white square. I don't have one offhand, so I'm just going to use this red one just to illustrate. Okay. And boy, he's running fast. Where's he going to? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make him exit to the right. Oops. So if he's entering left, exiting right there. I need to get rid of that hand. Okay, he just ran away, but I need to move this guy all the way over. Okay, and let's get rid of that hand. There we go. Okay, now the man is running out. See, so I did half the job. I managed him not to cross the screen. He disappeared in the middle of the screen, and imagine this block was white. I could probably fudge some white box here somewhere. But now all I have to do is get the, say, the standing character here, have him enter just at second, this guy Lee exit at second 4, have this guy stand there at second 4, and then if I play around with this, okay, oops, need to change his, make sure he's got no effect. Yeah, so I need to play around with the timing, but if you play around with these stuff, there are ways to do it, with a limited possibility. Yeah, we have new, somebody was asking, let's see, about new stuff coming out. So the biggest things we have coming out are many more props and styles that we're working on. We're really pushing. We hired some new people to do that, and we're pushing to get the existing libraries completely full, and then also add a whole bunch about that are specific per industry. So if you're marketers or small businesses or startups or whatever you are, we want to create a whole package just for you, so it's easy and all there in front of you. So if you have any requests, just email me at danielg@powtoon.com. You get my emails, just respond to them and just let me know. I would really love to see this or that prop. I've been receiving a bunch of them, and we're working on, adding these all in. So please do send me those requests. And you can also just, tweet us post on our Facebook page, whichever way you want is great. So Lana is really she's everywhere there on the socials, so you can definitely talk to her. And let's see, there are a bunch of other questions. I see most of them were already answered in the chat area. Yeah, somebody's talking about the millisecond thing. Great. I'm going to open this up to and unmute you and see if that works. So somebody wants. Oh. Echo. Okay, great. So if you've got any kind of questions that you want me to answer now, we're over with the main section. And if you want to do just some sort of personal guidance, any kind of questions you may have, go for it. Otherwise, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Please explain how the timeline bar works. Okay. Okay, great, fantastic. So let's go over the time bar a little more specifically. That'll be awesome. So the time bar essentially should be a simple concept, but I know it's not because we're not used to working on it. We've got from second 0 to whatever second we have in the slide. A slide is really a scene, and we can extend it or we can shorten it. And we've got a bunch of elements on the screen, and you have to really think of yourself as a director, not as an animator or a presentation person. You're a director. So what you're going to do is you're going to call in different actors. And what do the directors say? A director would say, hey, you over there, come on in. I want you to, I'm just going to clean this up before we continue. You, come on in, enter from the left, right? We're going to say, enter from the left, and he's going to say, when do I enter? What's my cue? And you say, your cue is, you immediately enter left. As we start, you enter from the left, right? So so he enters right at that moment with the little edge of the triangle. So he's starting to enter at 0 second. He finishes his entry at half a second, okay? And just stand there. That's all I want you to do is stand there. If I want you to do something different, I have to basically add a separate character right here, maybe the same character in a different pose, starting at second 3. So I would say, no effect, just swap him out and say at second 3, instead of standing like that, I want you to stand like that. In fact, here's a better trick. I'm just going to do it here. And I'm going to right here. I go to second 3, and I click split. Okay, I'm going to choose this guy right there. Okay, and now look what this did. So this person at second, he's walking in from the left, just stands there, and at 3, he's starting to cry. Okay, so I'm thinking like a director, and I'm just telling people what to do, and I'm controlling them by the seconds. That is my chief tool here. Now, as I get more props, and I say I want to add in, say, a server. He's watching the server. The server might be static throughout the slide. So in that case, I would stretch it out from second 0 all the way to second 10. Or it might show up and then disappear. And again, what's the cue? The cue might be at second 3 and then he sees it and he starts to cry. Whatever story you want to create. That essentially is the timeline. It's a very easy timeline. We kept it simple. We didn't want to have multiple timelines in here and multiple layers. That would just be very, very difficult. Once I add, notice that here I am at second 4. Once I add something in, Usually, let's add something simple here. It's moves 1 second ahead, so we're kind of automatically helping you out, sequence everything 1 second at a time. Yeah, we do have somebody's asking, yeah, if you can give access to other Powtoonists as collaboration, we're working on it. But right now, we're not limiting how many people can log in with your username and password. You can give it to your whole crew, and that's fine. Work on it together. We will have at some point collaboration mode where you can give different people in your team different permissions and so on for different agencies. But right now, we're just happy for you to share an account between you. No issue there. And we do have professionals. One of them is online right now, or yelled or was. Yeah, he's still there. And he's happy to make videos for you. The price is it's at powtoon.com/studio. And so then I'll answer. The prices range dramatically based on experience, skill, style, niche market. Clearly, making your own is far, far more cost effective, but it costs time, patience, some level of scale, etc., and a learning curve. So if you're going to, one of the benefits of creating a Powtoon yourself is you get to keep the original file. And a lot of users who have seen create one version and then maybe tweak it for slightly separate audience. Some people might create a Powtoon and then create a slightly different version and A/B test it on their website. So there was a partner company we worked with, Insightera, that did a lot of that. They just got bought out by Marketo, and they did a lot of this kind of work of taking Powtoons and just putting, say a background of, say, British Airways, and the other one would be a background of American Airlines. That's all the change they made in the video. And then if a visitor came to their website from British Airways, they would show them one video, and if they came from American Airlines, it would show them another. Really, really neat concept. So there are all kinds of things you can do, and that's when you make your own Powtoon. That's one of the values you can have. And I would definitely, if you're having somebody else make a Powtoon for you, I'll definitely ask for the source file and see if they, what kind of relationship they want to have with you on that level. Great. Any other questions out there? Any other? Do you have a video you're working on right now you want any kind of advice on? Oh, somebody's asking about the fastest ways to learn this stuff. So we've got a couple of things. There's an ebook. So it's powtoon.com/cartoonmarketing. And that's an ebook written by our own chief unicorn, our CEO, Ilya Spitalnik, which is really, really awesome. It's great. It shows you all these steps, in much more in depth from A to Z. And we've also got a bunch of tutorials which we're about to revamp. And but they show you how to get some stuff done. Powtoon.com/tutorials. And just play around and take a look at. We've got some examples. Powtoon.com/examples. You can see what other people did. Just copy. I'm a big fan of copying stuff that worked well for others. If it works, as long as you're respecting their intellectual rights and all of that, why not? By the way, notice what I did here. Stand out from the crowd. You just conceptualize how do you make sure you stand out from the crowd. But look, if you just had that there, it's kind of meaningless. By putting in this guy kind of confused, worried about it, how do I do that? We're really illustrating the emotional scene. So that point again. Fantastic. I think I'm going to wrap it right here. So if you have more questions, etc., there should be an email, daniel@powtoon.com, and see you next time.